you mind telling me who the
Yes,
masked
yes,
man is?
indeed. I'm back. It's your boy, the Big Ugly Man Doll, and this is my show, Big Ugly Opinion, and I wanted to talk about this Gypsy Rose Blanchard situation. In case you haven't heard about it, it was a girl who was abused by her mother through the Munchausen syndrome sickness, or however you want to refer to it. She had her believing that she was sick physically and mentally. She had her on medication she didn't need. She used, CPS, the police, and all sorts of things for some reason, to keep her daughter subdued. And it was a weird control method that I've only heard of in the movie Ma. It was very similar to that movie. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it real quick because I have a bigger point to make, but we're going to read some of the story to give you a little bit more details, and then we'll get right down to what I'm trying to get to. Give me a like on the way in, a share, and a subscribe. Let's go right to the story. All right, so this is the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a very long story, but I'm going to go through it briefly, and then we'll make my point. Gypsy Rose Blanchard grew up with her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, making claims about her health that resulted in a series of dire diagnoses and medical interventions. However, Gypsy wasn't actually unwell. Her mother had been lying about her symptoms. Experts believe Dee Dee's behavior stemmed from the mental disorder Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Because Dee Dee wanted to be a caretaker, she feigned and induced illness in her daughter. The truth about Gypsy and her mother only came out after Gypsy arranged for an online boyfriend to murder Dee Dee in 2015. That's basically the background of it, like I gave it to you already. But okay, Gypsy was born in 91. Was a baby when Dee Dee claimed her daughter had sleep apnea. So she started off right from the rip. Oh, my baby's sick. I just know it. When Gypsy was 8 years old, Dee Dee described her as suffering from leukemia, muscular dystrophy, and said she required a wheelchair and feeding tube. Just threw the works at her, everything. The list of medical problems that Dee Dee related about her daughter would go on to include seizures, asthma, hearing, and visual impairments. She made her a vegetable right off the rip. Due to Dee Dee's actions, Gypsy was prescribed a litany of medications and had to use a breathing machine. That's probably the CPAP. She also went through multiple surgeries, including procedures on her eyes and removal of her salivary glands. What? She couldn't spit? When Gypsy's teeth rotted, perhaps due to her medications, missing salivary glands, or neglect, they were pulled out. She made her lose her teeth, and she can't go. Unbelievable. Okay, so we're going to skip some of this, all right? Medical tests often showed inconclusive or contradictory results regarding Gypsy's diagnosis. But Dee Dee would stop seeing any doctor who questioned her daughter's ailments. She said, I know my baby's sick. Ain't nothing you gonna tell me. I know she's sick. And many caregivers went along with what Dee Dee wanted. How y'all get pressed by this broad? She'd had some nurses training so she could accurately describe symptoms, and she sometimes gave Gypsy medication to mimic certain conditions. She gave her medicine so she would appear sick. That is weird. When Gypsy was old enough to talk, Dee Dee instructed her to not volunteer information during their appointments. She was always the one relating Gypsy's fake medical history. So, no, baby, no. Let me talk to the doctor. She be having headaches and whatnot. She be swallowing her tongue and everything. Shaking on the floor. And she can't breathe. That's unbelievable. Dee Dee told Gypsy's father, Rod Blanchard, that their daughter had a chromosomal disorder that led to her many health issues. Chromosomal. That's an odd word. He complimented Dee Dee for her devoted care. That's all she wanted. Please, somebody tell me I'm doing a good job. When some of Dee Dee's family noticed that Gypsy didn't seem to need a wheelchair and asked questions, Dee Dee and Gypsy moved away. So she was like, oh, they on to me. We out of here. Look at her. Oh, my God. That's her mother. She looked like Chris Farley. And this picture up here, look at her. She look crazy right here. Daggone it, man. Are those metal caps in the girl mouth? Sheesh, yo, she really screwed her up. I wonder what she did to the puppy. Puppy probably didn't make it too long either. Oh, the puppy's sick. All right, so we're going to skip right down here. Let's see. Even when Gypsy was a teenager, Dee Dee still claimed she was sick and began to lie about Gypsy's age. Sheesh. In 2008, Gypsy and Dee Dee moved into a new home in Springfield, Missouri. Ain't that where the Simpsons live? Built by Habitat for Humanity, it was painted pink and had a wheelchair ramp. Gypsy and Dee Dee also received benefits that included charity-sponsored visits to concerts and Disney World. All along, Dee Dee continued to bask in the attention she received for being a devoted caretaker. She did everything but just be an extraordinary person to make people pay attention to her. How amazing is that, right? I'm going to make my daughter pretend to be sick and make her actually sick so I feel good about myself. What a weirdo, sick, twisted, oddball, goofy broad she is. So we're going to skip it. Gypsy was afraid and believed she didn't have anyone to trust. So this is after she had her mother killed. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted to go to. Gypsy convinced a man she met online to kill Dee Dee. This is where the simping begins. In 2011, Gypsy tried to get away from her mother by running away with a man she'd met at a science fiction convention. But Dee Dee soon tracked him down via mutual friends. She convinced the man that Gypsy was a minor, though she was actually 19 at the time. According to Gypsy, Dee Dee smashed her computer and physically restrained her to her bed after they returned home. Gypsy has also stated her mother would sometimes hit her and deny her food. No surprise there. Gypsy eventually managed to get back online. She joined a Christian dating site where she met Nicholas Godjohn. What a name. She told him the truth about her mother's actions and ended up asking him to kill Dee Dee so they could be together. Aw, how sweet! Like I said, this is where the simping begins. In June 2015, he came to her house and stabbed Dee Dee while Gypsy waited, ears covered in a bathroom. Gypsy and Godjohn returned to his home in Wisconsin where they were found by the police. Gypsy had twice posted to the Facebook account she shared with her mother, once writing, "That is dead." She later explained she made the post because she wanted her mother's body to be discovered. So she asked dude, kill her for me, please. And then she told Facebook about it. Wow. Sheer stupidity. That's a treacherous, evil person right there, too. Her mother made her. She created her this way for sure. But that's evil. After Dee Dee's murder, many people who'd known Gypsy wondered why she had gone so far as to kill her. Since she could walk, she simply could have exposed Dee Dee's lies by standing up in public. Yet Gypsy had been conditioned to think no one would believe her. She explained, "I couldn't just jump out of the wheelchair because I was afraid and I didn't know what my mother would do. I didn't have anyone to trust." The fact was that Gypsy had spent her entire life being controlled and monitored by her mother. She wasn't allowed to go to school. Although Gypsy was of normal intelligence, Dee Dee told everyone her daughter had a mental age of 7. She just told people the girl was slow. Crazy. When they were out in public, Dee Dee constantly held Gypsy's hand, squeezing it when she wanted her daughter to be quiet. Yeah, so she pretty much played her like a fool, of course. But you know what? We're going to get right into the video. Now, I know I keep mentioning simping, and here's the reason for it. Check out this part of this interview she did on Good Morning America. Yeah, so we're going to play this part of this video real quick so you can understand what I'm saying.
To life in prison without the possibility of parole. Is it fair that he is incarcerated for life for killing your mom and you're out?
Well, I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time he's doing his time for his part. And I wish him well on his journey.
Wow. Do you see what I'm talking about? No remorse, no sympathy, no empathy, not a care in her evil eyes. Yeah, I know. We both made some mistakes, but he's doing his time. I'm out now. But when she was in front of you asking you to commit such a heinous evil deed, I bet she was crying into you. I bet she looked you in your eyes. Please, for me, so we could be together. That's a very conditional type of caring she had for you. I mean, you went all out for her. And what did she do for you? Oh, she served her 8 and she's home doing interviews. And she says, oh, well, I did my time. Good luck in there, bud. Simpin ain't easy. And nobody got to do it. You see how it backfired on you? What did you think was going to happen? You were going to commit a murder and then live happily ever after with this girl on the internet snitching on you already anyway? Because you had to know as soon as they got her in that interrogation room and asked her what happened, she was going to say, he did it. How amazing is that, right? You went all out for her. And now she's on this interview talking about, well, you know, it be like that. He be all right. No big deal. Fantastic. So, if you think that I am reaching or being extreme, taking it to the umpteenth level, let me tell you something about this simp game that this guy was clearly on. It's a shame that he was misled by his emotions and hers. But the fact is, little boys need to be taught that before they're men, they need to maintain their logic and their sensibility and not be influenced by the whims and the desires of a woman, or he will lose. Her temporary, will you kill her please, led him to actually doing it, and now you're in jail for life. Think about that for a second. You kill her, you go to prison forever. She gets 8 years. And she's home, free, doing interviews and whatnot. You're in the chow line. Or possibly in, solitary. Maybe he's in solitary, I don't know. But I would say this. She's home with a brand new boyfriend or husband. I don't know if they got married or whatever the case. But yeah, now she's out here in the world with Peter Griffin. And now he's the one with the family guy. And you might have a boyfriend for all we know now. You see how dangerous it is to let a woman get you so wrapped up in your emotions that you'll do anything for her? Simpin ain't worth it. It'll only get you hurt, kid. Nasty. But yeah, that concludes my take on the story as a whole, right? I think the main issue here is that woman was a straight loon for what she did to her daughter. She turned her daughter into a psycho Charles Manson type of broad that had somebody else do the killing. This man wasn't man enough to tell her, no, broad, I'm not doing none of that. We going to the police if that's what it got to come to. You certainly don't take her up on her offer to kill anyone. Especially when, if you pay attention to a lot of women's, their mental, right? They may feel like they want something to happen right now. Because she looks like she regrets her mother being dead. So what's that tell you? It didn't have to go that way. Y'all could have figured something else out. But you were such a crazy, psychopathic wimp and a simp that you went ahead and did the unthinkable. And now you get to sit in your room for the rest of your life and stare at them walls and think about what you did. Fellas, young boys, learn something from this. Do not be a simp. But that's just my big ugly opinion. I'm the big ugly man, dawg, and I'm out, y'all. I gotta get out of here. Peace.
Do you mind telling me who the masked man is?
A big ugly man dog.